Good morning. It's a cold and a frosty start to the day today. We've also got some fog around. All that will lift, and then for most of us, it's going to be a sunny day. I'll have all the details later in the programme. Good morning, everybody. This morning is a cold start for us. Temperatures have fallen to freezing or just below through the course of the night, so we're starting off with a frost and also some patchy mist and fog. And as we go through this week, like last week, high pressure is firmly in charge. It's going to be mainly dry and there will be night frosts and still some mist and fog for some of us. So we do have some mist and fog around this morning, especially with South Wales, the southwest of England. We could see some form yet in Northern Ireland. The frost will lift and then we're going to have a day of sunshine and lengthy sunny spells. Now across the north and west of Scotland there's a bit more cloud, thick enough with some drizzle. It's not as windy for you as it was yesterday, and through the day some of that cloud will edge away, so it will brighten up. These are our temperatures. There is no heat wave. We're looking at between about 6 and 9 degrees. Now, as we head on through the evening, especially just after sunset, once again we'll see fog reform widely across the Midlands. We'll see it into East Anglia, the South East, Cheshire, Lincolnshire, the Vale of York. Clear skies and also a bit more cloud in the north and the west. In the north and the west, it's not going to be as cold because of the cloud and also the breeze. But where we've got the clear skies, well, it is. And we're looking once again at a widespread frost, and with the fog, some of that will be freezing. You can see too, these temperatures represent towns and cities. In rural areas, it will be lower than that. We could see as low as -4 or -5. So we start tomorrow with the frost and the fog. The fog will be slow to lift. There'll be some sunshine, but cloud building from the southwest through the course of the day. A weather front coming in from the west, introducing some rain primarily across Northern Ireland and Scotland. And it too will be accompanied by strong winds, for some even gale force winds. I'll have a longer forecast in about half an hour, but now back to Dan and Sal. Good morning, everyone. It is a cold start to the day. In fact, for some of us, it's also quite a frosty one as well. Kind of temperatures we're looking at have fallen below freezing through the course of the night, and now they're currently in Cardiff sitting at -2. But in the other end of the country, in Inverbervie in eastern Scotland, it's +10, and that's because we do have a lot of cloud here. Now, as we go through this week, it's going to be mainly dry. High pressure is coming and going, as you'll see in just a minute, but there will be some night frosts, and at times there will also be some mist and some fog around as well. So we've got high pressure ridge across us at the moment, keeping things fairly settled. Windier conditions across the north, but nowhere near as windy as it was yesterday. The front's being held at bay in the Atlantic. So a cold start. We've got some mist and fog, nothing too sinister across South Wales, southwest England, possibly Northern Ireland a bit later on, but that will all lift. And then for most, it's going to be a dry and a sunny day. Now there's a bit more cloud across the north and the west. That's thick enough for some drizzle, but through the day, even that will start to push away. So it will brighten up across northern Scotland. Temperatures roughly about 7s, 8s and 9s. Now through this evening and overnight, quite quickly, the fog will reform across the Midlands and become more widespread, spreading into the Vale of York, Lincolnshire, East Anglia, the South East, parts of southern England and also Cheshire. A weather front's being held out at bay at this stage in the Atlantic, but by the end of the night we'll be starting to see some rain coming from that, and it's going to be a cold night once again with a widespread frost and some freezing fog. These are the temperatures you can expect in towns and cities. In rural areas they will be lower than this, and that fog of course as a result will be freezing. Now the high pressure will slowly start to drift away, allowing the weather front to come in from the west. Again, if you look at the isobars, once again it's going to be quite a windy day, but the fog tomorrow further south will take its time to clear, some of it not moving until the afternoon. So through the day, more cloud building in from the southwest. So northern England, out of England and Wales, will see the lion's share of the sunshine, and eastern Scotland will hang on to it the longest. But you've got fronts coming in across Northern Ireland and Scotland, bringing in some rain and also strong winds, for some with exposure even gusting to gale force. Now, as we head on through Tuesday night and into Wednesday, there goes our area of high pressure. Our first weather front sinks south, followed by a second one. And you can see from the isobars, it's going to be another windy day. So here are our weather fronts in the south, producing some cloud and also some patchy rain. Behind them, we are looking at some clear skies, some sunshine. Cold though in that wind. Cold enough for some wintry showers across parts of the north and also the east. So as we head overnight Wednesday into Thursday, the high pressure in the Atlantic starts to push in a bit closer to us. The wind's still coming from the northwest, so it's still a chilly direction, and we still are looking at a widespread frost once again, but probably too much wind to have any issues with fog. And then on Thursday, we're looking at a fair amount of sunshine, still a few wintry showers, and still quite windy down that east coast. So as a result, Dan and Sal, it will feel rather cold.
Thank you, Carol. I think big coat again.
Oh.
Good morning. It's a cold and a frosty start to the day. We've got a little bit of mist and fog, but not too much. And for most of us today, it's going to be dry and it's going to be sunny. The exception to that's across the north and west, where there's a bit more cloud and the odd spot of drizzle. I'll have all the details later in the programme. I just want to show you this lovely Weather Watchers picture sent in this morning of the full moon. It's called a wolf moon. It's the first full moon of January and it is rather splendid. We've had a lot of them sent in, but this particular one is from Hinckley. Now, what's happening this morning is there's a widespread frost. It's a cold start to the day. We've got some patchy fog in South Wales, southwest England, but that should lift quite rapidly. And then most of us are going to have a dry and a sunny day. The exception to that is across the north and also the west of Scotland, where the cloud will be thick enough for some drizzle, but even that will retreat through the course of the afternoon. And for you, it's not going to be as windy as it was yesterday. Temperatures today between 7 and 10 degrees. As we head through the evening and overnight, quite rapidly, we'll see fog reform across the Midlands, extending into Lincolnshire, also the Vale of York, Cheshire, East Anglia, down towards the south of England as well. It will be fairly patchy, but it could be fairly dense. And at the same time, we have a weather front waiting in the wings to bring in some rain. Now, as well as the fog, temperatures will be below freezing quite widely, especially in the countryside. So that fog will be freezing fog, and it could be quite slippery first thing in the morning. The fog taking its time to lift tomorrow, for some not lifting until the afternoon, and with cloud coming in from the southwest and spreading north, sunshine will be limited. We'll see it in eastern Scotland and northern England, but we also have weather fronts coming in from the west, accompanied by some rain and stronger winds. Sal and Dan.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's a cold and a frosty start to the day today. We've also got some patchy fog. That will lift quite readily. And then most of us are going to have a sunny and dry day. The exception to that across the north and west of Scotland, where there's thicker cloud and some spots of drizzle and still quite windy. I'll have all the details later in the programme. Good morning, both. Good morning to you too. This morning it's been a cold and a frosty start to the day. And in fact, as we go through this week, high pressure is going to be in charge of our weather in some shape or form. So it will be mainly dry, but there will be night frosts. And for some of us, especially tomorrow morning, there will also be some fog around. Now, we've got a little bit of fog this morning across South Wales and southwest England. That should lift quite rapidly. And then there's a lot of dry weather and a fair bit of sunshine. But a bit more cloud across the north and west of Scotland, thick enough for some spots of drizzle here and there, not as windy as it was for you yesterday. Beautiful start to the day across Northern Ireland and Northern England. You can see some wisps of cloud as we come a little bit further south, but for Wales, for the Midlands, for East Anglia and Southern England and the Channel Islands, we're off to a sunny start, but a chilly one. Now, as we go through the day, some of the cloud in Scotland will be pushed back towards the coast, so it will brighten up for you. And for most of us, it is going to remain dry and sunny with temperatures between about 6 and maybe 10 degrees. Now, through this evening and overnight, quite rapidly, the fog will start to reform across the Midlands, eastern and southern parts of England. And at the same time, we've got a weather front just waiting in the wings in the west. So that's going to help keep the temperatures up in the west. But for the rest of us, it's going to be a cold and a frosty night. Some parts of England could get down as low as -5. And indeed, there'll also be some freezing fog as well. And that fog will be slow to lift tomorrow, some of it not even clearing into the afternoon. And our weather fronts coming in from the west will introduce some rain and also some strengthening winds with some gales with exposure. Feeling cold with temperatures between about 5 and 10. Dan and Sal.
Carol, thanks very much indeed. We'll see you again in half an hour.
Good morning both, and good morning to you too. As we go through this new week, the forecast is a mainly dry one as high pressure remains firmly in charge. But we are looking at some night frosts, and for some of us, especially tomorrow morning, there will also be some fog to watch out for. So today we've got this area of high pressure across us. The windiest conditions are in the north of the country, but even so, it's not as windy here as it was yesterday. And after that frosty start, there's a fair bit of sunshine. Now, there will be bits and pieces of cloud floating around parts of northwest England, East Wales, for example, but the thickest cloud will be across the north and west of Scotland, and that'll be thick enough for the odd spot of drizzle. But even here through the afternoon, some of that will retreat back to the coast. Quickly, though, this evening we'll see fog reform across the Midlands, eastern and southern parts of England. Some of this will be dense, and at the same time we've got a weather front coming in from the west, introducing thicker cloud and rain. So temperatures not falling away as much here, but it's going to be a cold night elsewhere with some freezing fog. So as we go through tomorrow, this high pressure starts to slip towards the southeast, allowing the progress of a couple of weather fronts coming our way. So tomorrow morning, first thing, it will be foggy. The fog slowly lift clear at all. And we've got our two weather fronts coming in from the Atlantic, introducing the thicker cloud, the rain, and also strong winds, gusty winds, potentially gusting to gale force with exposure. Now, as we head from Tuesday into Wednesday, you can see the progress our two fronts make, pushing southwards. And on Wednesday, we've got this cold northwesterly wind following on behind. So we start with our weather fronts in southern England and also South Wales, pushing southwards, taking the cloud and rain with them. Then a lot of dry weather, but on this cold wind, we'll see some wintry showers on the hills across the north and parts of the east of Scotland. And wherever you are, it's going to feel cold with temperatures between 5 and 9 degrees. As we head from Wednesday into Thursday, this high pressure edges closer to us, but we still have this northwesterly flow, and you can see from the blue in the chart, it's going to be a cold start to the day on Thursday with a widespread frost, but we're not anticipating any real issues with fog. So we start off with a cold, frosty start, but then there'll be a lot of dry weather, a lot of sunshine, still some showers coming down the north and the east coast on that brisk wind, and with temperatures between 5 and 9, it's another day for wrapping up. Sal and Dan.